Kevin, usually voters aren't particularly happy when political parties start going after their kids. What's Labor up to this time?
Well, you did right about that, and you might remember John Howard when he was Prime Minister. He talked about education as a real barbecue stopper. And what he meant was that parents around Australia, it's a conversation that comes up at dinner or on the barbecue on the weekend. Parents are all, quite rightly, genuinely concerned about their children's education. And the reality is over about 36% of students around Australia go to Catholic and independent schools, non-government schools. And so it's a sizable proportion of the population. And some years ago, Mark Latham talked about, this politics of envy, where he wanted to take money away from the non-government schools, give it to so-called needy government schools. And I was amazed about a month ago, Jason Clare, the current Minister for Education, the ALP, he's really just revisiting that. He's really opened up a can of worms again because most parents won't like what he's saying.
Well, you've always got to worry when a socialist-leaning government starts talking about better and fairer when they usually mean they're going to crack down on all those private institutions that are making the government schools look bad. Now, Kevin, to be clear, is the government considering learning some lessons from the private system to perhaps adopt some of their practices to make the government schools better? Or do they just want to strip money from the private schools and hand them to the public schools?
Well, it's the second, unfortunately, and Jason Clare did commission an inquiry, a report, yet another one, rather than doing anything. What new ministers tend to do is to have another inquiry. But this one made a number of recommendations, and one of which was actually to take money away from non-government schools. And Jason Clare, when he released that report, actually said our system is segregated between the privileged and the wealthy non-government schools and the poor, disadvantaged government schools. And so it's just that old story that the ALP always bring up of characterising our education system as wealthy private school parents, poor government school parents. And it's just not true.
No, as a private school girl myself, I can assure you that while there were a handful of wealthy kids at our school, most of them, like myself, we were basically peasants where our parents worked 2 jobs and gave all their money over to send us to school. You can decide if that was a good investment or not, but that is what they did.